In the prehistoric world, among dry plains and dense forests, human life was an endless struggle for survival. Each day began with the same thought, simply to live until the next. Deep in the barren plain, a man builds a simple shelter. Stones and branches become his defense against the wind, the cold, and the wild beasts that roam the land. Every movement is deliberate, focused. He lifts heavy stones one after another, stacking them carefully to form the foundation of his dwelling. This is not just a home. It is a fortress, a symbol of strength and the will to live. Without such sanctuaries, he would have no chance against the unforgiving power of nature. But shelter alone is not enough. Food is what truly decides his fate. He returns to the rocks where he once hid the remains of a hunt. Slowly, he scrapes away the stones and uncovers the meat. It is old, soaked with the earth, yet still edible. To modern eyes, it may seem like filth and desperation, but to him, it is life itself. Every scrap is precious, worth more than gold. The ability to hide and preserve food means one more day, one more night of survival. Yet man does not live only on the ground. At times, he climbs into the trees. High among the branches, he searches for fruits and nuts. With agile hands and strong arms, he pulls himself upward into the canopy where leaves conceal rare treasures. Sitting aloft, he eats what he finds, sweet fruit, bitter seeds. For a moment, there is peace. From this height, he feels almost safe. But the unease never leaves him. Even here, predators may strike, and no height can guarantee escape. The journey continues. Across the vast expanse of the savanna, he feels something the forest never gave him: freedom. Here there is no place to hide, but in return, the horizon opens wide before him. The sun scorches his skin, the wind carries the scents of distant lands, and the grass sways like an endless sea. Raising his arms to the sky, he calls to the forces of nature, to the sun, which gives warmth and life, and to the stars, which will guide him through the night. The gesture is simple, yet within it lies an ancient bond with a world that both nourishes and destroys. But he cannot let his guard down. The savanna and the forest are filled with dangers. Each step is a test, each sound a warning. In the tall grass, a snake might lurk. Behind the trees, a predator may wait. Here, survival belongs only to those who can listen to the earth and trust their instincts. As the day leans toward dusk, the man sets out to hunt. In his hands, there is no perfected weapon, only sharpened sticks and heavy stones. Yet he carries his greatest weapon of all: attention. He moves silently through the dry grasses of the savanna, every muscle tense, his eyes catching the smallest flicker of motion. There, a small animal hides among the bushes. He lunges forward. A strike, a brief struggle, and food is in his grasp. It looks simple, but in truth, such moments decide his fate, whether he will live to see tomorrow or whether his life will end today. The prey is taken, but it is not enough. To survive, he must not only hunt, but also create. He takes stones and strikes them, chipping away at the edges, shaping ordinary rocks into the first tools. Each blow rings out like a rhythm, as if he is speaking an ancient language to the world around him. Every shard, every sharp edge is a step into the future, a sign that the mind can bend nature to its will. Soon, fire comes alive. In the evening, beneath the canopy of trees, he builds a campfire. The crackle of wood pushes back the darkness, and above the flames, the meat hisses as it roasts upon a sharpened spear. The air fills with the scent of food. This is more than nourishment. It is light, warmth, and protection. Here, beside the fire, for the first time he feels stronger than the beasts that roam in the shadows. Morning returns once more. The savanna stretches endlessly to the horizon. The man runs through the golden grasses, his strides quick and certain. Running for him is not sport, it is survival itself. It is how he escapes danger, how he chases prey. Every motion is a battle, every breath a reminder of how fragile life truly is. At last, night brings a moment of peace. He sits by the fire, gazing into the flickering flames. His eyes reflect the fire's light, while above him the sky opens wide, a vast ocean of stars without end. In this moment, he is alone, yet unbroken. He has food, he has fire, and he has strength in his heart. All of this is just the beginning of a long journey, a journey that will one day lead his descendants to discovery and to the shaping of the modern world. Do you want to learn more about the life of ancient humans and their fight for survival? Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and stay with us. New stories of survival, discovery, and the path that carried us from stone tools to the modern age are still to come.
Deep within the prehistoric jungle, a young woman and a towering gorilla move side by side. Their steps are steady, yet cautious. For in this wild place, every rustle in the leaves, every echo in the shadows could carry danger. In her hands she grips a spear, simple in form, yet honed for survival. His presence radiates strength, and by her side walks her guardian, a giant whose dark eyes scan the world with sharp vigilance. Suddenly, the silence breaks. From the branches above comes a strange rattling hiss. The water nearby begins to ripple, as if the earth itself has awakened. Out of the dim light emerges their enemy, an ancient predator. A massive serpent, its amber eyes glowing like molten fire, glides forward. Each movement of its scaled body carries a primal power that makes the ground tremble. The girl freezes, her fingers tightening around the shaft of the spear. The gorilla lets out a low, guttural roar as he rises to his full height. Both understand instantly, the fight cannot be avoided. The serpent strikes first. Its colossal body lashes from the water, crashing against the ground with a deafening force. For a heartbeat, the forest itself holds its breath. The girl stumbles back, but she does not loosen her grip. She knows that by her side stands a force strong enough to keep her alive. The gorilla charges forward. His mighty arms lock around the serpent's coils, only for the beast to twist and wrap him in its crushing embrace. His roars merge with the serpent's hiss, a dreadful chorus of two ancient worlds colliding, brute strength against predatory cunning. But the girl will not remain a mere witness. She surges ahead, lifting her spear, and with reckless courage drives it into the serpent's scaly mass. The beast thrashes violently, its tail whipping through the air and knocking her into the water. Pain flashes across her face, fear threatening to drown her, yet she rises once more. The gorilla summons every ounce of his power, forcing himself free from the suffocating coils. He seizes the serpent by the tail and slams it against the earth with thunderous force. Mud and water explode around them. The girl, breath ragged but spirit unbroken, lifts her weapon again. In their eyes shines the same resolve. Together, they know Their only chance is to bring the monster down before it destroys them both. The battle fades, but its marks remain in every movement. The girl sits in the water, her breath ragged, her hands trembling, her face pale with exhaustion and pain. Yet above all else, she is alive. Her eyes drift to her stomach, and in that moment she realizes she must endure, not only for herself, but for the new life quietly stirring within her. Behind her comes the heavy, steady breathing of the gorilla. He steps closer, his towering frame once again casting its protective shadow over her. But the serpent is not yet fully defeated. Its massive, wounded body still writhes weakly, thrashing in its final desperate moments. They know they cannot leave their enemy alive. Soon, the creature's lifeless form lies beside the fire in their cave. Its enormous body is both a threat ended and a gift bestowed. The gorilla takes up a sharp stone blade chiseled from rock, and his powerful hands begin to carve into the serpent's flesh. The girl watches closely, understanding that this is more than survival. This is strength turned into sustenance. Before long, the fire awakens. Flames crackle against the stone walls, and the serpent's meat hisses as it roasts over the heat. The air fills with the sharp, rich scent of fresh food, turning the memory of terror into a promise of renewal. The firelight dances gently across the cavern. The girl sits nearby, carefully turning the meat, checking to see that it cooks through. The gorilla watches her intently, as though trying to grasp the meaning of this quiet ritual. She settles closer to the warmth, wrapped in furs. Her hand drifts to her stomach, and a faint smile touches her lips, a silent acknowledgement of the fragile future she now carries. The gorilla stays near, his massive shadow flickering in the firelight, a silent vow that he will guard her from whatever dangers lie ahead. That night, the world feels quieter. Only the soft crackle of the fire and the rhythm of their breathing fill the cavern. The taste of the serpent still lingers, smoky and strong, and with full stomachs, the weight of fear feels lighter. Yet they both know more trials await, more enemies to face, more discoveries hidden in the wilderness. Do you want to know what happens next? Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and stay with us as we continue this story of survival, trust, and strength in the prehistoric world.
Cave, lit only by the flicker of a fire, the girl works on a simple yet vital task. She's crafting a weapon, fastening a sturdy shaft with a strip of strong rope. Beside her, like a loyal guardian, sits the massive gorilla. His heavy gaze follows her every move. In this harsh world, the bond between human and beast was a rare gift, and it was this bond that kept them alive. With the arrival of dawn, they emerge from their frozen shelter. By sunset, the girl drives a strong wooden stake into the ground, using rope to create a primitive trap, or perhaps a weapon. The gorilla helps her, his powerful hands straining as he works. Together, they move as one, each step and each action guided by the same instinct to survive. Later, in the snowy wilderness, nature itself offers them its gift. With a mighty blow, the gorilla smashes through the icy surface, pulling up a whole clutch of fish. The girl, spear in hand, stands ready. It is a moment of trust. The beast provides the food, while the human prepares to protect them both. Deeper into the frozen caves they go, lighting the way with fire. The girl carries a torch, and the gorilla, stooping slightly, follows close behind. Before them stretches a new world, mysterious, dangerous, unforgiving. In these frozen halls, every shadow could hide a threat. And then, from the darkness, the true enemy appears. Bursting out from the ice, a colossal white serpent reveals itself. Its eyes gleam with a cold light, its scales shining like frozen stone. From this moment on, their bond will be tested to its limits, for now they must face an ancient predator. The cave falls silent, thick with tension. Firelight trembles on the icy walls, reflecting in the girl's eyes. Then, suddenly, the serpent strikes. Its massive body cuts through the air like lightning, smashing into the rocks. The girl leaps aside, while the gorilla meets the attack with brute force. Their alliance transforms into battle, not merely for survival, but for the right to exist in this merciless world. The serpent writhes, coiling its massive body around the stone pillars of the cave, as if nature itself is ready to collapse beneath its strength. The gorilla roars and rises to its full height. His chest heaves, his fists crash against the frozen ground. The girl, shivering from both cold and fear, raises the spear she so recently crafted. She knows this weapon may be their only chance. The serpent lunges first. Its body cuts through the air like lightning, smashing into the rocks. The girl leaps aside, while the gorilla meets the attack with brute force. Their alliance transforms into battle, not merely for survival, but for the right to exist in this merciless world. The snake writhes, coiling its massive body around the stone pillars of the cave, as if nature itself is ready to collapse beneath its strength. The gorilla growls and charges forward, seizing the beast by the neck. His hands slip across the serpent's icy scales, but the ancient power within him refuses to give in. The snake lashes its tail against the ground, rocks scatter, and the fire in the cave nearly dies. The girl, trembling from the cold, snatches a second sharp stone blade and hurls herself back into the fight. Now they move together as one. The gorilla holds the serpent, while she searches for a weakness. At last, her strike finds its mark. The blade pierces the soft flesh beneath the serpent's jaw. The predator convulses in agony, letting out a piercing scream that echoes through the icy walls. Its body thrashes, then begins to lose strength. When silence finally returns, only the heavy breathing of the girl and the gorilla remains. The fire flickers back to life, casting its glow across their faces. They have endured. But in their eyes, it is clear this is only the beginning. Greater trials still await. After the brutal clash, they retreat deeper into the cave. The gorilla brings fruit and carefully sets it by the fire. He picks one up, inspects it closely, then cracks it open with a crunch, as if testing whether it is safe to eat. The girl watches him and realizes, despite his raw strength, he is not just a beast. He is her protector. When night falls over the land, they sit together by the fire. Beyond the cave, the sky glitters with billions of stars, the Milky Way stretching above them like an endless river of light. The girl gazes upward, whispering something faint, perhaps a prayer, perhaps a dream. The gorilla remains silent, his shadow like a boulder beside her, keeping her safe. By morning, they step into the forest. Damp leaves and towering trees block the path, but the girl walks close to the gorilla, nearly brushing against his hand. Their footsteps sound in rhythm, as though they have always known each other. No words are spoken, yet understanding flows between them. Back in the cave, a new fire crackles.
On a flat stone, meat from a dangerous hunt begins to sizzle. The girl tastes the first piece and smiles. For the first time in ages, joy lights her face. The gorilla, still breathing heavily from the battle, sits beside her and waits, almost like a man, for the meal to be ready. They build a simple device for smoking meat. Neat rows of fresh cuts are carefully arranged on a wooden rack. Smoke rises slowly toward the ceiling of the cave, filling the space with the heavy scent of food. At last, they have supplies, and for a brief moment, survival feels just a little easier. But they do not rely on meat alone. The girl gathers fruits, berries, and greens, laying them out on a flat stone table beside the fire. The wild colors of nature, red berries, green leaves, golden roots, create the feeling of a true feast in such a harsh world. The gorilla steps closer, breathing in the aromas, and for the first time, his gaze softens. Later, the girl offers the gorilla a wooden bowl of steaming broth. He accepts it carefully, as though aware of the fragility of the moment. For an instant, their fingers brush, and in that touch, their bond shifts. This is no longer just an alliance for survival, but the beginning of something deeper. At last, as night settles over the land again, the girl falls asleep resting on the gorilla's massive chest. Her breathing is steady and calm, while his eyes remain open, fixed on the darkness of the cave. He knows he is now responsible not only for his own life, but for hers as well. And so, their journey continues. In a world filled with danger, they have found in each other both strength and hope. But greater trials still await, fiercer enemies and new discoveries. Do you want to know what happens next? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more stories of survival, friendship, and the fight for life in the prehistoric world. Support us with a like and a subscription. The most exciting chapters are yet to come.
You keep me down, I'll be stay down. Oh, you keep me alive. Oh, you keep me down. They see the fun. You keep you back to silky life.
Night by the ocean. The waves crash endlessly against the shore. The sound should bring peace, but tonight it feels heavy, almost threatening, as if the world itself is holding its breath. A small hut stands on the beach. Inside, the fire burns quietly. Its flickering light reveals two figures, a young woman and a gorilla. Two beings, side by side, yet separated by a gulf of fear and silence. She raises her head slowly. Raindrops and sweat glisten on her face. Her eyes are wide, filled with unease, as if she still cannot believe this is real. She does not belong here, and she knows it. Her hands clutch her chest, as though to protect herself from something she cannot control. Her shoulders tremble. Her breathing is shallow. Behind her is the endless night. In front of her, the beast. There is no escape. The fire cracks, shadows dance along the walls. The gorilla sits across from her, unmoving, watching. His eyes do not leave her, not for a moment. He says nothing, but the silence itself terrifies her more than any roar. She takes a step back, searching for ground beneath her feet. Her fingers press into the sand, desperate for something solid. And suddenly his hand is there. Huge, heavy, powerful, so close to her own.
The difference between them is unbearable. She jerks her hand away. She rises abruptly and stumbles outside. In her hands she grips a palm leaf, clutching it like a shield, as if this fragile thing could protect her. Her eyes dart in every direction. Every sound of the night makes her flinch. Then she looks up and freezes. He is there, a massive shadow standing right beside her, blocking out part of the sky. Her chest tightens. She inhales sharply, but the breath never leaves her lungs. Their eyes meet. She steps back, but his gaze follows, unrelenting. There is no anger there, but no warmth either. Only silence. Cold and unreadable. A silence that terrifies her even more. Her strength falters. Her legs give way and she falls to her knees. Her hands press into the ground. She can barely breathe. Her hair falls across her face, and in her wide, panicked eyes, one truth echoes. There is no way out. She lifts her head. His figure towers above her, vast against the firelight. Her body stiffens. Every muscle screams to run. Yet she cannot move. She knows her life now hangs by a thread. Her hand trembles as she reaches out, brushing against his fur. The warmth of his body shocks her. The fear surges, stronger than before. Why did she do that? Why get so close? Even she cannot explain. He shifts suddenly. His massive arm rises. Her heart lurches violently. She stumbles back, panic written across her face. To her, this gesture is not neutral. It is threat. She thinks, this is it. It ends now. Her knees buckle. She crashes to the ground, gasping for air. Her palms dig into the earth. The pounding in her chest is deafening, her head filled with a rushing roar. She realizes her life rests entirely in his hands. One single move, and she will not survive. Later, she curls up on the floor of the hut. Her body is small, fragile, folded into itself. Her shoulders shiver. Every breath of the beast nearby weighs on her like a shadow. Even in stillness, he dominates the night. She closes her eyes, but sleep does not come. Each time she drifts, fear drags her awake again. Every crackle of the fire, every sigh of his breath, feels like a warning. She cannot let her guard down, not even for a second. She slips outside, drawn to the doorway. The ocean stretches endlessly before her. Waves crash, stars shimmer in the distance. But instead of beauty, she feels emptiness. The world is vast, and she is completely alone. She turns her head back. Inside the hut, his dark silhouette looms. He does not move, yet his presence is heavy, suffocating. She knows. She is not free. She is trapped. Her back presses against the wooden wall. Tears streak her face, though she no longer tries to hide them. Inside, the same question repeats again and again. Why me? Why here? Heavy footsteps break the silence. He comes outside. She freezes, eyes snapping open. Their gazes meet. Her heart skips a beat. Is he here by chance? Or has he been watching her all along? He stands close, massive, silent. His shadow swallows hers. She tries to smile, a weak, broken thing. A smile not born of joy but of defense, a fragile mask to hide the fear tearing her apart inside. But tears come anyway, hot, unstoppable. Her hand rises to cover her face. A laugh bursts out of her chest, sharp, bitter, almost hysterical. A laugh that fractures instantly into sobs. Her body shakes. She cannot control it anymore. The gorilla watches, motionless, his dark eyes fixed on her. She feels his breath brush her skin, heavy and warm. She hears the weight of his silence, pressing on her like the night itself. And she wonders, does he understand? Does he see her breaking? Or is he only waiting for the moment to strike? Time slows. The fire flickers, its light painting their faces. Two figures locked in a silence that says more than words ever could. The night drags on. They remain there, side by side, though an ocean of fear separates them. She, small, fragile, trembling, a prisoner of her own terror. He, vast, unreadable, alien, impossible to predict. Above them the stars burn bright, cold, eternal. The waves crash endlessly, indifferent to what happens here on the shore. And inside the hut, around the fire, there is only silence. Heavy, suffocating, endless. This is not the end of her story. It is only the beginning of her trial, and perhaps the beginning of something we cannot yet understand. Beneath the roar of the waterfall, an impossible scene takes shape. A young woman stands trembling on the rocks, fragile against the vastness of nature. On one side looms the gorilla, massive and unyielding, each movement radiating strength. On the other side coils the great serpent, its pale scales shimmering in the spray, its unblinking eyes fixed on her with endless hunger. She struggles to catch her breath, the damp air pressing heavy against her chest. Her thoughts whirl in panic. How did she end up here? Between monsters older and stronger than anything she has ever known. She knows she doesn't belong, yet fate has dragged her to this moment, forcing her into the space between predator and protector. The silence holds them. No trust, no safety, only the weight of a choice that isn't hers to make. The gorilla's presence feels both like a shield and a threat, while the serpent's shifting coils are as hypnotic as they are terrifying. And as she stands frozen, she feels her destiny being written in the balance between fear and courage. Then, in an instant, the world explodes into motion. They run. The earth shakes beneath their pounding steps, branches snapping, leaves tearing. Behind them, the serpent surges through the trees, its hiss cutting through the jungle, its body a blur of pale muscle and scales. Her lungs burn, each breath ragged, her heart hammering as though it will burst. Yet she cannot stop. The ground itself feels alive with the weight of the predator chasing them. Ahead, the gorilla crashes through the undergrowth, his massive arms ripping branches aside, clearing a path she could never carve alone. He glances back, eyes flashing, urging her to keep going. But still, the hiss grows louder, closer, a nightmare that refuses to let them go. The serpent blocks their path, its body rising like a wall, eyes glowing with hunger. She stumbles, frozen in fear. The gorilla steps forward, chest heaving, and with a thunderous roar he meets the beast head-on. The snake strikes, fangs snapping past her face. The gorilla lunges, his fists slamming into coils of muscle. The jungle erupts with violence, roars, hisses, leaves flying. The serpent wraps around him, squeezing tight, bones groaning under the pressure. For a moment she thinks it's over, but with one final roar he tears free, his fists pounding until the serpent collapses, lifeless on the ground. Silence returns. The gorilla stands tall, scarred but unbroken. She stares at him, wide-eyed, realizing she is alive only because he chose to fight. He looks at her, no pride, no triumph, only calm, as if such battles are simply his nature. And in that silence, she feels both unsettled and safe. Her knees give way, and she sinks to the earth, pressing her palms into the dirt as if to remind herself that this moment is real. Her chest still heaves, her body trembling, but slowly her breathing begins to steady. She looks up at him again, studying his massive form, the raw strength in every line of his body, and for the first time she wonders if he might not only be a danger, but a protector. The rain begins to fall, first as a mist carried by the wind, then as heavy drops beating against leaves and stone. Water trickles down her face, mixing with the salt of her tears. The fire inside her fear has not gone out, but something new flickers now. The smallest spark of trust. Without a word, he turns and starts walking deeper into the forest. She hesitates, glancing once more at the lifeless serpent, then forces herself to stand. Her legs ache, her body begs her to rest, but she follows him anyway. Somehow she knows she has no other choice. They move through the jungle together, the storm above breaking into heavy rainfall. Water streams down the massive leaves, dripping from branches, soaking the earth beneath their feet. Each step is heavy, yet steady. The gorilla leads, his enormous figure parting the thick undergrowth, while she follows closely behind, her eyes never leaving his back. At first, her steps are shaky, her body still trembling from fear. Every shadow among the trees, every sudden sound makes her flinch. But with each stride, she begins to notice something she hadn't before. The way he moves with purpose, scanning the jungle not only for threats, but for paths she could take safely. It is as if his awareness stretches far beyond what her human senses can grasp. She wonders if he knows she is watching him, studying every detail. The way his muscles shift beneath his soaked fur, the tension in his movements, the raw energy that seems always ready to erupt again. He is wild, dangerous beyond measure. And yet, if not for him, she would already be gone. A part of her hates this truth, hates that her survival is no longer in her own hands. But another part, a quieter, deeper voice, whispers that perhaps she is no longer alone. They pass beneath towering trees, their roots twisting like the bones of the earth itself. Lightning cracks in the distance, illuminating the canopy for only a heartbeat, and in that instant she sees them both reflected in the shimmer of wet leaves. A fragile woman and a towering beast, moving as one. The thought chills her and comforts her all at once. Maybe fate has tied them together now. Maybe the jungle itself has chosen this path for her. The fire burns low, its glow painting the walls of the shelter in trembling light. She sits nearby, her face half lit by the flames, her eyes fixed on him. For the first time, the great beast does not look like an unstoppable force, but like a creature marked by struggle. His breathing is heavy, his body scarred, his strength tested. She hesitates, her hand trembling as she gathers herbs and presses them to his wounds. The touch is careful, almost reverent. Days ago, she would never have dared come this close. But now, after all they have faced, her fear feels different. Not gone, never gone, but reshaped into something else. A fragile thread of trust. He does not flinch. He does not move her hand away. His dark eyes meet hers, and in the silence between them she feels something shift. A recognition, unspoken yet undeniable, that their survival is no longer separate. Whatever awaits them, they will face it together. 7.8 million years ago. The African plains stretched endlessly beneath a burning sun, and here, among the predators and scavengers, lived creatures unlike any others. They looked like apes, but something about them was already changing. They were curious, restless, always watching. They were at the very beginning of a journey that would, one day, shape all of human history. Life was a constant struggle. Every single day meant searching for food, for water, for safety. Danger was everywhere. Eagles circled high, ready to snatch the young, and vultures, patient and silent, waited for death to claim another victim so they could feast. Survival here was a fragile balance. For these early beings, food was scarce, and every find could mean the difference between life and death. Sometimes the reward was small, a handful of berries, a root dug from the ground, or a bird's nest filled with eggs. To us it might seem insignificant, but for them it was a treasure, a chance to live another day. Imagine the relief, the quiet joy, when an egg cracked open in their hands, when hunger was kept away just a little longer, yet hunger was never far, and so slowly they began to notice things others ignored. A stick lying on the ground was more than just a stick. It could reach where hands could not. It could knock fruit from a branch. It could push back a threat. It could strike harder than a fist. Simple, yes, but revolutionary. In those moments, a new path opened, the path of tools. In their groups, something else began to emerge. They rested together in circles. They huddled for warmth. They shared whatever food they found. Alone, they were vulnerable. But together, they stood a chance. This was more than instinct. This was the earliest spark of community, the first lesson that survival is stronger when shared. Still, the world around them never let them forget how fragile life was. The ground was littered with bones, silent reminders of all those who had failed. Above, vultures circled endlessly, ready to clean up what was left behind. For these creatures, the message was clear. Those who cannot hunt, those who cannot fight, will not last. And then, one day, something changed. They spotted an antelope, a living, breathing animal, not carrion, not scraps left behind by stronger predators. Real prey, and instead of running, they gave chase. Imagine the scene, the pounding of hooves shaking the earth, dust rising into the air, cries echoing across the plain. They ran not from fear this time, but toward it. Their legs drove them forward, sticks clenched in their hands, hearts racing with something new, determination. For the first time, they were not simply surviving. They were hunting. The antelope fought to escape, its muscles straining, breath heaving, eyes wide with panic. But the group pressed on. Their numbers, their persistence, their makeshift weapons. It was enough. Slowly, they wore the animal down, and then, with a final effort, the antelope collapsed. It was theirs. For the first time, food had not been stolen, not scavenged, not begged from nature's scraps. It had been taken. They gathered around the fallen animal, touching it, pulling at it, tasting it. Each one took a piece, tearing the flesh with their teeth. Blood smeared their hands and faces, but it was more than just a meal. It was proof. Proof that together they could conquer. Proof that they were no longer only prey. And yet something even greater awaited them. Their next discovery would be far more powerful than the hunt, more transformative than any victory. They would encounter fire. Flames roared and crackled, heat seared their skin, and the blaze seemed alive, uncontrollable. They kept their distance, wary of its power. But then, curiosity took hold. Someone stepped closer. A branch was pulled from the flames. The fire didn't vanish. It could be carried. It could be kept alive. Slowly, they learned that fire was not just danger. It was protection, and it was possibility. Meat, placed into the flames, changed. It softened. It smelled rich. It tasted better. It gave more strength, more energy, more life. This small accident would alter everything. Their bodies would grow stronger, their brains, fed by richer food, would grow sharper. The night, once filled with terror, was transformed. Around the fire, they sat close together, watching the shadows dance. Predators kept their distance, eyes glowing faintly in the dark, but no longer daring to attack. For the first time, the group was safe after the sun went down. The fire was theirs, and with it, they had tamed a piece of nature itself. Dawn came. Slowly they woke, stretching, yawning, looking around. Another day had begun, another day of searching for food, for survival. And yet something had changed. Each sunrise brought with it new possibilities. They were no longer simply reacting to the world. They were beginning to shape it. Their eyes grew sharper, their hands more skilled. They began to notice that broken stones could cut better than teeth, that sharp edges could slice through skin and muscle. Some began striking stones together, splitting them apart, finding blades hidden inside the rock. It was clumsy, it was simple, but it was the beginning of invention. Step by step, moment by moment, they were becoming something new. No longer just creatures of instinct, no longer just victims of chance. They were taking control. And this was only the beginning. From the first egg stolen from a nest, to the first stick used as a tool, to the first hunt, the first fire, the first stone blade, each moment pushed them further along a path they could not yet see. A path that would lead, in time, to villages, to cities, to civilizations, to ships that crossed oceans, to machines that reached the skies, to footsteps on the moon. 7.8 million years ago, none of that was imaginable. And yet, it all began here. With creatures who looked like apes, who feared the dark, who fought for scraps. Creatures who one day, slowly, became us.